Hey guys, this is PCRT. Today we are going to take a look at little fun project. I'm gonna turn my son's drawing into a driving car in using Blender and Unreal Engine 4. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, so let's get started. So first, let's quickly take a look at the whole project. This is the reference image that my son gave it to me, and this is what it looks like in Blender. And finally, this is what it looks like in Unreal Engine. Now, let's take a look at the whole process. Now, before we model this car, we have to change the unit of the Blender to match the Unreal Engine 4 unit. We'll go to this panel and change unit scale to 0.01. And then, since we've changed this, we have to change the clip end to something around 1,000, I guess. That's enough. So if you just scale, you won't just be clipped. Okay, so let's get started to model it. So I'm gonna start to model this police car. I'm gonna speed up this part since this modeling process is nothing special here. As you can see, the reference image I got it from 3 years old. I mean, what do you expect? If you don't want to this image to be selected, just go here and tap on this cursor and uncheck it. You won't select it again. We'll call this reference image. Now let's rename the part of the car. Change this one to body and change this one to front left. This one is rear left. This one is front right. This one is rear right. And the next thing what we're gonna do is that before we add bones to it, we need to let this car face X. So we need to rotate it. Good. We're gonna apply rotation and scale information. So now let's start to add bone to it. Select the car body, or we call it root. Go to Object, Snap, Cursor to selected. Make sure the cursor is in the center of the car body, and then we Shift S. Excuse me. Shift A. Add a armature. Okay, so we cannot see it. Go to Object Data Properties, turn on Axis, and turn on Infront. We still cannot see it. Let's scale it up because it's too small. Excuse me. Now, this is the time that you can take a look at your model, and if it is not the same, the size is not the same as mine, you can you turn the scale into 100, and then you find out, oh, what happened to the bone? If it is just too small, just like this, that means your model is too big. If somehow you scale it down, you take a look at, oh, my bone is too big, that means it's your model is too small. This is the time where you start to scale your model to match the the size difference between the car body and the bone. Why I have to do it like this is because I've tried it. Either it's too big or too small. After you export it to Unreal Engine 4, I think this size should be fine. Alright, so let's select the bone. We're gonna rotate x-axis -90, I think. Good. Okay, so go to edit mode, extrude y-axis, and then we select this bone, hit Alt P, disconnected, and this bone basically we're gonna have each one for our wheel, so we're gonna have 4. Now let's rename our bone. This one is called bone. We can change it to root, and we're going to change this one to FL, change this one to FR, change this one to RR, RR. Okay, so we are going to move these bones into corresponding wheels. Let's select the first one, Shift S, and a cursor to select it. select the armature, go to edit mode, Shift S again, selection to cursor. We do the next, select the wheel, Shift S, cursor to selected. You know what? We made a mistake because this bone, the name of this bone is front right, so we should move this one to the front right. This one is rear left, so we select the right bone. The last one. Now we save it. I think it looks okay. Go select all our models, and then Shift select. Remember, okay, and then Shift select the bone last. Hit Control P. Choose with empty groups. Moves, great. All right, so let's assign the object to each bone. Choose this wheel and select all. Go to edit mode and select all the face, and go to this object data properties again and choose front left, since this bone is controlling front left mesh. Assign, then select this one. We're gonna choose rear left, assign this one, front right, assign this one, front rear right, assign. Now last one, don't forget the car root of the car, or the car body. Go to edit mode, select everything, select root, assign, save it. Let's see if the bone is working correctly. Go to pose mode, select our root bone, G, move, make sure everything is moving. Select this one, okay. It's working perfectly. Great. Now I think we're ready to export this into Unreal Engine 4. Now, one last thing I have to talk about is that before we export this model to Unreal Engine 4 with bones, we have to be careful. If a model that has bone in it, remember, you have to make sure that every object in this scene make sure that they have materials that assign to it. If some of the object that they don't have materials, well, this model, when you're importing to Unreal Engine, it definitely gonna crash Unreal Engine 4. It definitely gonna crash. At least the version that I'm using. Now Blender just crashed and I accidentally opened this file in Blender 2.81. Somehow I have two Blender version installed on my system. Somehow it messed up the unit system, and I have no idea. So make sure you go to N and take a look at the X dimension, something around 3.37 meters. I think that'll work fine. If it isn't, if it is bigger, if it is bigger or something like 16, or it's smaller, something like 0.345 meters, that's not gonna work. So you're gonna change it to select everything and scale it something around 3.3. I think you can follow up the next tutorial, the next following tutorials. Okay, now let's export it. Finally, go to File. Make sure you select every object, the wheel and the body and the four wheels and the armature. Go to Export, FBX, save to. Make sure you select armature and shift select the mesh. And forward we're going to change to X because this is forward, right? Great. Up we're going to change it to Z. Smoothing, I think we're going to change to face smooth. Armature, uncheck this. Great. Let's export it. Now let's go to Unreal Engine. Okay, Unreal Engine launched. Let's select new project to games. Go to next. Choose blank template. I want to change the name to I think I'll call it Fun Test. You know, Fun Car Project. Okay. Create project. So Unreal Engine launched. Somehow I saw that during the make of the video, a automatically updated to 4.24.3. So I think the process it doesn't affect our process since we're using some of the features that it's not going to change that much. Okay, so this is the default scene. We are gonna open our model. I think it's on the desktop and with vehicle project. It's this one, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna drag drop into this part. Import all. Let's maximum this. The first thing we are gonna set up is the physics asset for this police car. Double click open this. So this is the model that we created. Not bad. These green stripes do look weird. Okay, so click this area and Control A. Make sure to click delete all the default shape there. Okay, so next part we're gonna select this root and go down here. I think I'm gonna use a capsule because capsule I've tested, sometimes I think it's better than a box. Well, personally I think. Okay, just hit add body. Maybe it's just too big. Let's hit R to scale down a little bit. I think I'm gonna leave it here. Now, of course, you can use a box to this car body. Is it a little bit not in the right place? It's okay. Okay, now let's select F arrow, select this bone, shift, select RR, select so that we can select all the wheels bone, and then go down here, change it to sphere, hit add body. Now we're gonna save this. It's fine. Great. Now we are going to add a vehicle animate instance. Right click in this area, go to animation blueprint. We are just choose this one and select our car bone that we exported. Hit OK. We're going to call it wheel animator. I think this is the name is okay. I think this name is okay. Now double tap on it. The first node we're going to add is called mesh space ref post. And then we are going to add a wheel handler. Connect them together. Compile and save. If you don't know what does this do, basically this is a wheel animation player. This does serve when you have vehicle wheel movement. This will automatically change the wheel's transformation and location and rotation so that you could see it. Right click, blueprint class, search for wheel, choose vehicle wheel. We'll call it police car wheel. Double tap to open it. Now sometimes I face the bug that when you double tap on this vehicle wheel and blueprint, it shows me nothing. So every time I edit this, I just add a anything is okay. If I add something here, every time I open it, it works fine. So if you have no problem, open this, so you don't have to do this. See, every time this works. Okay. Now I haven't changed this settings yet. We will come back. We're gonna change that later. Let's go to our blueprint, police car blueprint. See, this is the thing I'm talking about. I don't know why I open it and it shows me nothing. Let's add a wheeled vehicle blueprint class. You can go here and right click, select blueprint class. We're going to search for vehicle. Select this one, wheeled vehicle. Change it to BP police car. Double tap to open it. Nothing to tweak here. Select this mesh. We go here and change animal class to wheel animator that we added. Change the mesh to mesh skeleton to this one. And then compile, save. And then we're gonna go down here. I think nothing here. Okay, select vehicle movement here. Go to vehicle setup, open this. Let's change the first wheel. turn the wheel class to the police car wheel that we've created. The first wheel is actually the bone name. We remember in Blender, the bone name is FL, FR, RL, and RR. I'm talking about the wheel bone name. Okay, so the first one we can change it to FL, front left. And then we can change to next one. We're going to change it to police car wheel. FR, user front wheel, right? Let's go to the next one. Change to police car wheel. And we're going to change this one to RL. Go to the last one. We're going to change this one to RR, rear right wheel. And this one is rear left. Don't forget to change this one to police car wheel. And we don't want to steer for the rear wheels, so we disable the last two wheels. Compile, save it. And we're not done yet this part. I think we're done. Okay, so select this mesh. We're gonna add a spring arm. And then we're gonna add a camera to this spring arm. Basically, this acts like a kind of like a third-person camera, just like this. We can actually directly add a camera, but with spring arm, the camera just moves smoothly. All right. So let's see. I like to tweak this. Now the camera, we cannot put it here because if you go into the game, the camera will stay in here. That's not a right place to drive our car, right? Okay, so we can just move it here and drag our blueprint car in here. Move up a little bit. As you can see, you can have a preview of your camera here. Then you can go here and change a little bit. Okay, so we're going to change the first parameter in spring arm is that we're going to change target arm length. I think we're going to change it to something 1000. So that'll go further, right? The other thing that you want to change is that we don't want it to stay in the same height at the as the car that we're driving. So we move up a little bit. However, we still want to take a look at our car. So we go to camera. I think we can change the spring arm only, right? You know what? We're going to select this camera and hit R. I'll hit E and scale down a little bit. This way we can move up a little bit more. Compile, save. This place is fine. Let's move a little bit closer to the car. 800. It's fine. Compile and save. Everything looks fine. Great. Now we're gonna add the event graph. Before we add this, I think we are going to add some controls. Go to edit. I'll save the project first. We're gonna save the project. We're gonna save the map called the default map. Great. And then go to edit, project setting. Now the first thing I want to change is that go to input. I'm going to add axis mapping. Hit the plus. And the first one, I think I'll call it forward. I'm going to use a W to control forward. Add another mapping to this group, an S. Since we're gonna moving backwards. We're going to change this scale to -1. Add another control that this time will control right. And then we're going to use a D key to move to right. Actually, to let the car steering right. Add another one to move to left. Just A. I think A is fine. Good. Again, I change to -1. Now let's add mouse view, kind of like a third-person view. Click on this axis mapping. Change this to look up. Control using mouse Y. Add another one called look right. I'm going to use mouse X for this value. Now the control is done. Let's go set up the police car blueprint control. Close that, double tap on the BP police car. Let's right click, make sure to select event graph. Right click, we're going to add our forward input event, make sure too small. And we're going to right click, we're going to add a throttle input. Great. Now link them together. And we're going to add our right control. I think it's in the axis event here. So look right. I'm going to use right because I think our event name is right. Next, we're going to add a steering input. Connect them together. Then we are going to add the third-person mouse control. Right click, and the first one is look up. Oh, it's not this one. Look up. Input axis event. Make sure you select that one. Now the next one is, I think it's look right. Great. Okay, drag spring arm here because that's where we're going to change. Click on that and drag out. We're going to add another node called add relative rotation. Let's break this part. And look up, basically we're going to change the Y rotation. So let's link them together. The look right, we're going to still manipulating the spring arm. Let's drag that out here again. Another relative rotation. Now this time we'll manipulate the I think it's the Z rotation. Alright, let's compile and save. Let's give it a test run. Let's go into our map and then hit R. Scale up the map. Scale up the floor. Sorry. Everything is white. So we're gonna have to turn off something. Let's go to project setting. Go to render. I personally I turn off this auto exposure, and somehow this temporal AA is going to slow down my computer. I turned it off again too. If that's not an issue for you, you don't have to turn off this. Now the floor is white. You just have to turn off this. Everything will look fine. All right. Now one thing I forgot to the property I forgot to edit is in this blueprint police car, and this auto possess player, we're gonna have to change it to player 0 so that this camera we can take a look at our game from this camera. All right, compile and save. Let's hit play. We can right click and rotate around. Now in this new Unreal Engine version, I found out that the camera, default camera, can collide to with the floor. So when you go up, you cannot look. You cannot. Something wrong with it. We can always go to the our blueprint spring. Let's take a look. Oh, it's here. Let's just uncheck do collision test because we don't need this collision test in this simple project. All right, let's hit play. Now you have no problem to see your car looking good. Let's hit W. Great, runs good. You can use A or D to steer. Hit S. You can go backwards. So one thing I wanted to change is that the camera it roll a lot, which I don't like that. I'm gonna have to go to spring arm and uncheck this inherit row. That's pretty weird, you know. Also, I think I wanted to change to turn on the camera lag, camera rotation. I think it's camera rotation lag, right? I want to change. I want to enable that. Lag max distance. Let's turn to 300. Speed I will change to 3. Lag speed I want to change to I think around 5. These are just I'm guessing if this works. Just take a look at it. So now the camera is a little bit smoother. One thing I want to change is that, as you can see, our car, well, it's too slippery. Let's change it. I don't want it to turn that much. Let's go to police car and go to vehicle movement. Go to vehicle setup. Expand this. Go change this inertia tensor scale. We're gonna scale z axis because this it'll just rotate around z axis a lot, right? So we turn this value to 4. Basically, if this is bigger, it's harder to rotate around z axis. Now let's see. Great, kind of like a boat, you know. Okay, there's one thing we might need to change is that we're gonna add more friction to the wheel. We're gonna add a right click. We're gonna add a dat asset and select tire config, police car, tire config. Double tap to open it. We change this friction scale to 35, I guess. We'll see if it works. Then we go to our police car wheel and we're gonna select our tire config. Save it. Let's try it. It's a little bit weird. It's too powerful, right? You see, it's so powerful. Now, one thing I do want to change a little bit is that it's it's a little bit weird, but it works pretty good actually. You see, the power is really great. When you brake, suddenly it'll just flip. Okay. So in Unreal Engine 4, the new version, it has this anti, uh, you know, flip kind of function for this car, so this it will not that easily, flip upside down. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. So we are going to change the RPM a little bit lower, 3,500. Good. And one more thing we can see that we can change is that we will change it to a front drive, so the car is actually easily controllable. Maybe it's easy control. It still looks a little bit weird, but it runs fine. Flipped. Okay, calm down. Great. Maybe we can change to rear wheel. We'll see what happened to it. Rear wheel drive. You know what? Maybe the friction is just too much. Turn it to 25. And there's one more thing I can change. Let's see. Place car wheel. We will turn this down a little bit. Basically, we will let the car, slide a little bit more. Change to 5. We'll see how it goes. Great. It has a lot of horsepower, easily flipped. I can play with this configurations all day long. All right, so let's turn this down. Oh, way down. One more thing that I wanted to change is that maybe the steering is too much. Steering angle, we're going to turn down steering angle to 40. Great. Now it's a little bit better. Okay. Maybe it's because this kind of car, the front, let's see, this part is just too much, so that it's not that easy to control. It just it moved y-axis a lot. I think we can fix that in here. We'll just try it. Okay. So remember, one thing that we changed is we make it harder to rotate around z-axis. I think we can do the same to y-axis. Let's go to vehicle setting here. Vehicle setup. Oh, this one. We will change this the y-axis. I think it's around y-axis, right? So it doesn't, wobbly forward and backward just like that. I hope it'll work. This one we can turn it to 5 maybe. Okay. Let's see. I think it's better. It's better. It is because of this design, This car is really gonna easily flip forward and back. But with this configuration, I think it's a little bit better. See, I can easily flip around. Kind of like a Grand Theft Auto feel, that kind of car, a little bit of that feel, Okay, so I really don't want to brake because it will just easily flip it. Now, one more thing I wanted to do is that I wanted to let's add a mountain to see if it can climb up. Let's just go down a little bit. Create. Let's go add a mountain and we're gonna try if it works. I can do this whole day, I don't know if it's gonna work with a long nose, but I think it climbs fine. Let's go try this tiny bit one. It works great. Whoa, hold on a second. Okay. Oh man. Oh, great. Oh, wow, that's quick. Alright. It's fine. It's going fine. It runs pretty fast, right? Alright. So last thing I wanted to do is that I think I wanted to change the material of it. Let this light blur light. Double tap on this light material. It's white already. Great. Let's add a constant. Let's connect to emissive color, and 5. So 5 is great, but let's turn it to 10 to see if it works. Okay, I think 10 works. Let's save it. Great. We can turn it up a little bit. 20. Great. Now the other thing that I wanted to change is this rear light. I think it's called a Siren. Same, with the right click, add a constant. Connect to emissive color. Let's see if it works. If I change to base to red, will it still emit red? Oh, it's not working. So let's disconnect this. We will add a multiply. Oh, great. Let's break it. A and B. Emissive color. Yeah, now it's red. Great. Okay. So maybe we can turn off the skylight here. I'm gonna delete that sphere. Delete the skylight, the light source. Oh, this is fine. This looks fine. Okay. So the rear of the siren we can turn up a little bit more. Maybe 35. One thing we can do is that we can go to this blueprint police car. We can go to viewport. We can add a actual light in front of it. Light. We're gonna add a spotlight in front of this headlight here. Let's line up. Great. Now you can take a look at it in here in the real time to see how does it look like. You can tweak the attributes a little bit. Oh, let's go to viewport and select the spotlight. Let's make it longer. Great. Intensity up. I think we can Control C, Control V, duplicate one, add another here. Since they had this shadow here from the bumper, we shift select, move it forward a little bit to let that disappear. One thing I can do is for the rear. Let's Control C, Control D, move this one to the back. Of course, we're gonna have to rotate 180 degrees. Move in. Turn down a little bit. Then this one, we don't have to be that strong. And change light color to red. And a little bit of extra. Tweak a little bit of this. Give it a little dim look. Compile and save. Now let's try it. Not bad. Great. Now the car is still easily flippable. You know, I'm not sure if I'm using the right word to describe it. Maybe I can just I think there's a problem about the center of the bone's location. There's something. This is something we can work on. Maybe we'll have another tutorial on how to maybe add an antenna physics, or how to tweak this car so it can drive better. So this is today's tutorial. I hope you like it. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.